affecting change in others and motivating others and working with others to make them the best that they can be. I think there's like a really, I think that may be our audience today, because I think
Yeah.
that they're, you know, that's a big theme in my life.
Oh, well, I mean, that sounds like a perfect way both to jumpstart this episode, but also to introduce you, my beautiful friend. Welcome to anybody on the outside who's listening or watching. We like to keep things a little fresh and a little open here on the podcast. I am your humble host, Dr. Jordan Goldstein, a former professor in all things sport humanities, philosophy, history, little sociology, some psychology. Used to be at the university, clearly just couldn't survive there for a whole host of reasons. We don't need to dive down into that. But now I'm deep into the world of fitness and life coaching intertwined, allowing individuals to personally transcend themselves through practicing sports as a what I call a spiritual activity. I do that one-on-one, and I also run my own coaching group, which I call the Temple, with a bunch of homies on the inside. I also moonlight or starlight or just dance as the tribal professor on tribal training run by the excellent Ryan Dreyer, and I'm a mindset performance and ultra running coach over there. And without further ado, I want to introduce you to my esteemed guest. Beautiful human, wonderful heart, badass in the world of training and in understanding the ways that the mind is both our friend, but also our enemy. He is the founder and the owner of the Pearl Institute for Health, Dr. Philip Pearlman. Welcome to the show, my beautiful friend. I am so excited for the conversation we're going to have and honored that you accepted my humble invitation to come on today. So thank you.
Jordan, it's so great to be here, and I'm just jumping right into a thing. You inspired me in your introduction. You were talking about the spiritual component to exercise. And this morning I went to the gym, and I have like an interval workout that I do on Wednesdays, most Wednesdays, where I run really fast for 4 minutes and then really slow and then really fast. Such a great workout, and it really challenges me. And I got home, and even before I took a shower, I sat on the couch with a glass of cold water, and I just sat there for about 10, 15 minutes. And I just let my mind wander. And when I got up, I realized that I was meditating. I wasn't even fully aware. I was just sitting there. I was letting thoughts come and go. And that's kind of like one of the definitions of meditating. And I realized so much that the fact that I was exercising, the fact that I left it all out there, and the fact that I was spent and I had sort of this euphoria, this post-workout euphoria, and yet very relaxed at the same time, fostered my meditative state. And it just allowed me to sort of enter that place. Fantastic. You hit it right on the head when you said the spiritual component of exercise. Sometimes we're just like, we call it a routine, or we have a schedule, or we have these metrics that we have to hit. And we just forget that it's just like this incredible experience that opens us up.
Yeah, that visual of you with the cold water and you're sitting after you've effectively gone to war with yourself. One of the ways I like to define fast running is psychological warfare. I don't think it's really physical. It's not the physical pain that gets you; it's the psychology of having to hold the effort so hard that really terrifies you when it comes to something like fast running. And then you juxtapose that with this state of like inner peace and tranquility and almost like of like detachment that allows you to form into this meditative state. Like that's exactly what I'm trying to affect with individuals when it comes to how we should be utilizing physical fitness. we hear a lot about physical health is mental health, right? And certainly in your line of work in psychology, that's probably something that's parroted around quite a bit. But I wonder if this spiritual component is the real element that people are searching for when they are coming to the body or physical activity as a way to salve or make maybe a more positive space when it comes to the way that they interact with their mind inside of them.
I just don't make a distinction between mind, body, spirit. I mean, I
Okay.
do when I'm like thinking but I think when I'm just being, I don't think I think of mind, body, spirit as just one long word. I haven't come up with a better word, maybe being, but mind, body, spirit, just all of those things are one thing. They're not two things or three things. Like this dual, like I'm not a dualist. You know what I mean? I'm a monist. It's all one. Mind and body are one thing. I guess that's how I look at it.
Mm. Yeah, I certainly approach from the same where it's in philosophy it's we call it an embodied conception of a person, like we're a union of elements, not separate. They may actualize differently, right? Like, what's the difference between the body and the mind? Well, the mind is the brain, and the brain is a part of my body. But it's more in how we experience them and how we actualize. I think. And I've talked many times about this on the podcast. But a good frame that I like to use and I like to turn my people onto is, the body is the part of me that moves. The mind is the part that thinks, and the spirit is the part that wills. It wills me forward. So that while they all work in connection with each other, um, they all actualize differently, so that I can experience them as independent, even if they are totally dependent on each other. Do you find that helpful, or do you find that maybe a little muddying the waters?
I think about it geometrically. I think about it like a triangle. And with a triangle, so let's say you have mind, body, spirit as points on the triangle. Or let's say from a cognitive behavioral point of view, you have behaviors, emotions, and thoughts as points on a triangle. It's a similar model geometrically. And the thing about a triangle is that when you change one angle on a triangle, the other angles change. And if you change the length of one side of a triangle, the lengths of the other sides change. And so that's how I think of it. So if you behave differently, your emotions and your thoughts shift. And if you're thinking differently or feeling differently, the same holds true, and that holds for mind, body, spirit as well. So if something shifts with your spirit, or something shifts in your body, and let's say you're getting healthier, shifts occur on those other corners or along those other continua as well.
Okay.
That's how I think about it. It's like one triangle. You know what I mean? Like it's a I mean, I'm not, I don't want to get too freaky about it, but it's like a pyramid kind of a thing, and it's really geometric. And you could even think about that in when there's four elements. And I think about health in elements of health as there being really four basic elements: what we put in our body, nutrition, how we move our body, sleep and rest, and our relationships and community. And you change any one of those four elements, and that would be a quadrilateral. Change any one of those four elements, and the whole shape of the whole quadrilateral changes.
That's a really intriguing way to visualize it. I really like that idea of the triangle.
It's an
Historians, we were trained.
interdependent model.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, no, no. It's fine. It's
It's an
fine.
interdependent model.
But it makes perfect sense in terms of how they are. I can experience change in one area, but it's not limited to just that area. There is a direct there's a direct connection to those other areas in if I change any one of the points.
I noticed it in myself initially when I started really getting healthy. And I was not a healthy individual for a long time. I started getting really healthy. And then I started finding that my mood improved. And that really goes back to, this great brain energy model, Palmer's model there. But, I felt better, was not as apt to have depressive episodes. I had more energy. All types of things changed as I was getting healthier. As I was, working out and getting leaner and improving my metabolic health. And I was like, wow, everything's interrelated. I feel better. I have more energy. I'm more resilient. And then with my clients, it's absurd how much I notice that. Like I'll work with someone and then we'll do this work. They'll lose a bunch of weight or they'll really get healthy. And then we're thinking about it within this sort of performance paradigm. I call it like fitness alpha. And then we'll meet less often as they get to the place where they want to be. And then we'll meet again like a year later. And their business will be going gangbusters. Their relationships will be on more solid footing. Their relationships with their kids. It's just incredible it's incredible to experience, incredible to watch. And I know they're going to have to do a lot of research in this area and that game is afoot presently. But to me, I've done all the research. N equals one. I've done it on myself and I've done it with clients. So I've seen it occur.
Yeah, I'd love to get a little bit more into your specific story, but I want to also mention that I noticed this both with myself and with the people that I coach in the same way, where we start with the body, we focus on getting healthy in the body, building up healthy habits that can make us, positive believers in ourselves. And after a while, I'm not the one who starts steering the conversation into these other areas. It's like the person wants more. It's like they see their potential cresting on the horizon now that they're starting to gain some momentum positively inside the body when it comes to more healthy habits, working out, more sleep, better sleep regimen, better nutrition. And the compounding effect seems to make people like effusive and radical believers in themselves that they begin to like break down these barriers outside. And I was just reflecting on this earlier in the weeks. Like, did I become a psychologist? Did I position myself as some sort of a psychologist? And I don't believe I did. But when you start to affect somebody's like spiritual outlook about themselves, it just seems to naturally open up this rich and fertile ground for more self-exploration, more courage, more fearlessness, and being self-honest with yourself. And that's a lot of the continuing work that I see, at least with the people I work with, where maybe we get a good handle on the physical health stuff in the first, 3-6 months of our work together. But it's this like reverberation that comes through in the other areas of life that almost seem to get stronger and stronger. So it's neat that you also independently notice that with the people that you work with. So first, tell the listeners a little bit more about your story. You mentioned I was in a place of bad health. Like I got myself out of it. Like there's a lot of people out there who are in that similar situation who could learn just from hearing your story, and then maybe we'll dovetail that into the work specifically that you're doing now for people. And then that'll open up sort of where the conversation is going to go next.
Before we go there, I just want to go back to what you just said,
Of
because the
course.
conversation that we're having right now is super important. And this idea of helping people open up, I think of it as training. I don't practice psychology. I practice training and just life
Oh,
training.
you are
And
speaking my language so hard. It's all training. Let's go.
to me, it's all training. And to me, it's all everything is just finding the conduit to actualization for everybody. And so, yeah, we'll go back and talk a little bit about me getting to that place. Sure. But more importantly, what I said and then what you just said about helping people find this place where they start opening up, where they're functioning in a way where they're crushing it all of a sudden, and they're like, oh my God, I can do this. Or it starts bubbling up in them, these parts of themselves, these decisions that they need to make, these things that they've always wanted to do, these things maybe they weren't even aware of, that just come up and they don't even know where they're coming from. But guess what? Those seeds were there all the time. To me, that is a fundamental biological basis or humanistic basis. Speaking of humanism, I mean, Carl Rogers was a great psychiatrist in the 50s and 60s, and he would use this term actualizing tendency, right? So, you go back to Freud and he had this, he had the life instinct and the death instinct. It was a little pessimistic, right? That the death instinct would be so strong. Then this guy Rogers comes along and he's like, listen, we all want to live. We all want to be happy. We all want to love. We all want to be successful. We all want to raise our kids. We all want to be who we are and who we were meant to be. And that to me is, he uses the term tendency. I don't know. It's something within us. It's like a well or a drive or a tendency, whatever you want to call it. But I really believe that's in us all. And, the thing that me and you are doing is just helping people find that key and then find that door and open that door. And whatever it is, I mean, the beautiful thing about the physical is that it's such a concrete door. It's such a way, it's such a path that can get us moving in that healthy direction. To me, it's a lot more concrete, a lot more measurable, a lot more observable than exploring emotions or exploring memories or exploring things that are much more abstract, much less easily measurable.
There's a lot of things flowing through my mind after that. That's a really great call out. It immediately made me go and grab this book, which is on my desk, which is a Viktor Frankl book. Once you started talking about Carl Rogers there, so maybe this question: have you done any work in what Frankl calls logotherapy, or have you ever come across the term?
I studied it way.
Yeah.
What's that?
Or sorry, yeah. Like, what do you think of it? If you've come across it, I'd love to know.
It really hasn't stood the test. It's wonderful, right? I mean, it's Frankl, and it's wonderful, and it's this, and sort of for viewers, it's this idea of reverse psychology, and I think it has places and moments, but empirically, it hasn't been robust. And I think for me, it's of more value philosophically, that sometimes the contrarian point of view, or sometimes going away from the obvious, or going against the grain, or practicing a moment of reverse psychology may have a place. And it points to this paradoxical aspect of human experience that is not easily defined. I wouldn't sit down with somebody and say, okay, I think this client calls for logotherapy. I wouldn't do that. To me, it's not an encompassing approach. I think there's other approaches in most cases, but again, I'm not practicing therapy. And I'm not working with people who have, we get people that come to us who you wouldn't go and diagnose with a mental disorder. Some you would. I mean, I get a lot of people come to me. They have substance issues. You know, they have alcohol and drug issues a lot. I mean, it's just very cultural, and even food addiction, issues. So you could call that, do you call that a disorder? I know there's, certain doctors in our sort of general area of health practitioners that would say that, and I would say it too. Um, but I don't think I would just say, hey, I'm going to go practice logotherapy. I think it's within a context. It might be a moment
Yeah.
where you go against the grain, a moment where you push back, where usually you're being very receptive and very empathic and you pick that one little moment to push back at somebody because maybe they need it at that moment. You take a risk and you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the practice of, I think it's what he calls paradoxical intention,
Right,
um,
right, right.
which to me is just sort of mind blowing in a sense that you can treat somebody with a paradox, and that it could work at all is pretty amazing. But when I'm reading this book in particular, where he's laying out a clinical case for logotherapy, and the book is The Doctor and the Soul, from psychotherapy to logotherapy, at its broadest, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, please do. But is logotherapy not simply like is it not just sort of like a therapy based on meaning, like and how do we strike a chord within somebody so that they care about the quality and the value and the meaning of their life, and we try to connect to their humanity in terms of like these deep and animating values, and that can be a way to break free of some possible issues of the mind, like at
You
its
know,
base,
I,
at its
I
basest.
I totally get what you're saying, and Frankel was hugely influential to me, and continues to be for other reasons. But from my point of view, to what you're saying there, everybody, there's two sides to it.
Please, let's go.
There's the trainer, right? And then there is the trainee, right? And so from the trainer's point of view, there is, hey, what am I going to do now? How am I going to get this person to where they want to be? How am I going to help them? From the trainee's point of view, it's like Malcolm X. This is my point of view. It's
Yeah,
like Malcolm
please.
X, by any means necessary. Like how are we going to get there? I almost don't even care as long as
Yeah,
we get there.
yeah,
you know so sometimes cheating, like, people, like, I'll do this thing with people where, if I'm working with somebody who's really big, really obese, and I'll say, listen, we're going to eat 10 foods, like, we're going to just call this the 10 commandments of the foods, and it's going to be eggs and beef and chicken and vegetables, etc. And then we're going to have the things we're not going to eat, and they'll ask me a million questions. Is oat milk okay? Is whatever. And one of them is always, can I drink diet soda? And you know what? Like, we can be these fucking health gurus and talk about um, the health benefits and disadvantages of diet soda and Splenda and fake sugars or whatever. I don't even care. All I care about is that right now, if you want to have if you ate, you know, high protein, low carbohydrate, real foods all day and yesterday, and you want to have a Diet Coke, that's fine with me. You know what I mean? That's a by any means necessary. So
yep,
with the trainee, especially early on, especially when we're making that shift or we're finding that door of like what is going to be the conduit to getting us healthy, to me, it's by any means necessary. And if it's this, if it's a search for meaning, if it's just changing behaviors, hey, go for a walk in the morning. Hey, go sweat a few times a week. Hey, whatever it is. Hey, to your point, who are you? You know, it doesn't even matter. To me, it doesn't even matter anymore. It's like whatever, by any means necessary, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
I'm
I
here with you. I'm
completely.
just getting my ear thing.
Yeah. Your passion comes right through. So it's great, and I love that. And I think, and this sort of gets to one of the questions that you sent over to me, which is like, how do we provoke health changes, right? Like, how do we get to step one? Like this person is in bad health. We have to get them to a place of better health. However we do that, like that's the most important thing. That's the goal. So I'm with you there, and I mean, it's really funny because in my coaching group, we did a self-reflective textual study on the art of war, where instead of the art of war being the opponent on the outside, we were thinking about it in terms of like a battle, an inner battle between the better and the worst parts of ourselves. And a lot of Sun Tzu's, a lot of his practical strategy is like deception, um, like cunning, not necessarily cheating, but maybe cheating. And that was one of the intriguing parts that I had to think about. Like, oh, do we really want to go in and lie and cheat and deceive ourselves? And then it's like, well, if I'm going against this internal opponent who just wrecks my inner world, who tells me all the worst things in the world about myself to get me to believe it, so I don't go and I don't do the better thing, like it's not even should I have diet soda or not. It's like I just drank a 2 liter of full sugar soda and I'm gonna do it again tomorrow and I'm gonna do it again tomorrow. Right? Like I don't care. I'm gonna go to the bottom here.
Or
Uh
vodka.
or what I mean, yes. All things. It could just be your phone. It's the screen. Could be just gambling on there's a million vices out there for us to like overindulge in. But then it's like, well, how do I just get into a space of believing that I can actually carve out a positive path? And I agree with you right there. Like we got to do whatever we can if we're a coach or we're a guide. We got to get people to cross the threshold. Now I'm using the hero's journey analogy. Like we just have to like coax people to the change and then push them across the boundary where now they're into the unknown and it's like terrifying, but they've made that big important first step. So I'm totally with you there. The reason why I think it's intriguing and I'm curious to have the conversation with you about logotherapy is because I think it gets back to exactly what you and I both independently talked about with our clients, where we are affecting their physical health, but all of a sudden, right, all of these other cascading things start to flow. And I just want to read this quote here because I think it's something like this. And when I say logotherapy, this is kind of what I'm getting after. This is from Frankl. Logotherapy is ultimately education toward responsibility. The patient must push forward independently towards the concrete meaning of his own existence. So I feel like that's what you and I are doing with the physical. I feel like that's what you and I do. And we push people to get healthy, but in a way that is aimed at some of these deeper transformations of self. I feel like that's what we're doing. We're bringing people into this conscious relationship with the responsibility that they have. And we're saying, hey, if you take this, the meaning and the beauty of your life, you don't even know like how positively the ripples are going to happen in your life exponentially after you take these very difficult and terrifying first couple of steps, which we're just going to affect by any means necessary. Like that's why I bring it up, because I really feel as if that's kind of like the secret sauce in using the body as this sort of like trap door, like into the spirit and into the mind, which, you know, if we're thinking about them as the triangle, oh my gosh, it makes perfect sense why I would want to come over to this fulcrum of the triangle and really affect the angles and the lengths of the constituent whole. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. I got to the point, I think, where the path or the model, the theoretical model, or the strategy, it almost doesn't even matter. As long as we help them get to that place, and as long as it's a self-discovery, and this is like, I'm turning a card over here. Like I always feel like if ever I'm thinking about this, I always feel like I'm turning a card over here, and that is this. If the trainee buys into the model, so you're talking about Art of War, or you're talking about Franco, or you're talking about Carl Rogers, or you're talking about anybody. You're just talking about the fitness alpha model. Like I just say, get healthy, perform better. It's a performance model, right? And corporate finance loves that because they all want to. They all have to perform well, and that's like the area that I work in. Just for the audience, a lot of corporate finance. Um, as long as people buy in, it doesn't matter whether you're Frankel or Rogerian or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like as long as people are buying in, and it is a something that does have some uh, validity to it. If they buy into the model that you're presenting them, Sun Tzu or whatever, we're going to go paradoxical, whatever. And if they're buying into the person that they're working with on a relational level, to me, those are two elements that cut across. As a matter of fact, the early integrationists in psychology, in clinical psychology, had talked about common factors. So what they did, this is actually interesting. They had this. There was this group of early psychologists who were like, well, there's all these different schools of psychology, and they all kind of rag on each other, and they all think they're the best. And it's a really sort of not, it's a really dichotomous relationships across the schools, behaviorists, psychodynamics, experientialists, humanists. They're all like, hey, our model's the best, and so forth. So then there was this group that was like, well, there's something good in every model. Let's look at what the common factors are that are the best things that are common about each of the models. And two of the things that they found were the relationship and that the client or the trainee in our case buys in to the model that they're being presented. And so if you get that buy-in and if you're developing that relationship and it's true, I think that does a whole lot of the lifting. And so if we want to go, logo therapy, if we want to go, Sun Tzu, Art of War, if we want to go just Goggins and get your ass out there and run. And when you're tired, run more. It doesn't matter as long as everybody's buying in.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. It's not the program, it's who you are, right? Like especially when you're on our side. And another thing that you mentioned maybe we wanted to talk about is take aim at some of these gurus online and just in the health and fitness space generally, or the health and wellness space. I don't even know what we call this space, which I think is a positive. Because you're right. It's not this way or else. It's whatever works to make somebody conscious of the fact that they're responsible for their own life and that they actually have the power and the agency to grab that power and wield it positively, right? Like ultimately that's what we want to affect in the people that come to us for help. And we do ourselves like the biggest disservice when we start to think that we're the ones that are responsible effectively for the change, that it's our program, that it's our smarts, that it's my brilliance in taking this book. And I just happen to have all these books here because I must, just like you got all your books in the background. I got all my books around me, and I was a professor, so the books are always strewn around. But it's like, it's not my brilliance in taking these books, right? It's the fact that I'm exploring as many different languages as possible so that I can find the one that's going to fit to the person that's on the other side of the call, that's going to fit on the other side of the relationship. relationship. I mean, this is one of the things I loved so much about
Beautifully
being a
said, by the way. That was
well,
beautiful.
I
Beautifully said, bro.
appreciate I appreciate you for that. And this is a just an outgrowth of the way I used to have to teach because I'm a historian and a philosopher, and I would teach first year students in university, and all these students wanted to do was become a physiotherapist or become a doctor or an athletic trainer, right? They couldn't care about history or philosophy. So I loved this challenge because I was like, how do I speak to these people to get them to care? Except, other than the fact that if they don't, I'm going to fail them in my class, which it's not a bad motivator, but I wasn't just interested in fear or punishment. I was interested in how do I talk to these students who are ripe, right? I'm like their very first professor in university and they don't want to be in my class. And I have a chance to completely switch their mind around on why this stuff is important or why they might like my class. And it's like, oh, you have to just use 1,000 different analogies. You have to look at the person whose eyes are glazing over and you say, I'm going to talk to that student. I'm going to see if this one can hit. And then you can feel the energy in the room start to like move towards you when you start to hit upon the right kinds of languages, and you can lose the students really quickly. So that's just where that kind of approach comes from. But what is it about the health and wellness space that seems, I guess, ripe, or maybe it's just all spaces are ripe for people to come in and say it's all about them and it's all about the thing that they know and it's all about the way in which they can help you and that you'll become dependent upon them. Like maybe just speak broadly to that because I'm sure you see it a ton every day.
It's super common, and it's super common in the psychology space as well. And it's an ego thing. It's very unfortunate. And instead of fostering sort of this actualization with your clients or with your trainees, you're fostering dependence. And that is that breaks my heart seeing it because I see very, very talented people fall into that trap. And it's very seductive. I mean, it's ego, right? It's like, this is not about me helping people become, their best self or their true self. This is about showing people how smart I am and how great I am. You see it in the markets too. You see it with pundits in markets as well, where, people are out there just taking victory laps and they'll say 5 different things. One of them's right. And then they'll point back to that one right thing that they said and take victory lap after victory lap. And you see it all the time. And I do believe, and so any coaches out there and gurus out there watching this right now, I do believe this is a very important point for you specifically. This is not about you, and it's not about how great you are and how magical you are and how right you are about the things that you're saying and the advice that you're giving. This is about others, and this is about how you can help them, how you can help them get to where they're going in their life. And that's the thing. I mean, we were talking about this at the beginning of the conversation, how, one of the greatest experiences of being a coach is when you open that door up and then they're off and running, and they're gone and you're just trying to keep up with them. It's fantastic. It's the greatest feeling in the world because you can feel them finding themselves and actualizing and becoming that thing, like the name of Roger's book, by the way, is On Becoming a Person. So you can find them on this path of them becoming a person, and you just keep up. And by that point, they're going fast, and it's fantastic. That, to me, is our purpose here, not getting into these petty arguments. There's so, who cares whether the mitochondria is important or not? Or who cares whether some supplement matters or not? And who cares whether a health bar is healthy or not, or whether it's got bad chemicals in it? I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. And you know what? If that's what you're arguing about, then there's something else going on there. You're not on this journey. You're not on this path of trying to help people. You're on this path of trying to show other people how right you are. What? What is that? What are you doing there? So to me, and this is the shame of it all, is that many of those people have the knowledge and the potential to help a lot of people. And instead, what they're doing is just sort of, you know, passing along health porn or whatever you want to call it. Like it's kind of just fitness porn, you know? It's like, hey, look at this, object of content that is exciting or controversial or gets you to click or gets you to watch. It's really just more of a media model than it is a helper human being model. That's my beef.
Dude, beef away. You're reminding me of the gatekeeping that just occurs, I think, in all industries and in all facets of community. Like, the people who have power want to keep power. The people who are winning want to make sure that they're winning, and they'll pull up the ladder. They'll just the crab in the bucket sort of thing too. So to me, that's just very similar. And it's, I thought once you got, naively, it's like once you get into the adult world, we're not going to be playing these petty games. And it's like, no, the adult world is pretty much just the playground, but like with some shine over top of it. Which is one of the reasons I respect kids so much, is because it's just honest. Like, when kids are acting, that's just honest. The adult world's a lot of lying. It's a lot of manicure. It's a lot of the same petty crap. It's like, did we all graduate from high school? It's like most people never did. Like, you may have your diploma, but you're still spiritually kind of in the cafeteria with the cliques and with popularity and with those things. And you spelled it out real nicely in the fitness industry, but I'm sure anybody out there who's thinking about what they're involved in, the groups that they're seeing, like, that kind of sounds like it. So it's one thing that makes me think about is, like, if you're out there and you are looking for somebody to help you get healthy in, we'll say, body, mind, and spirit, what are the things you should not look for? Like, what are the things you should not look for? People who pick fights with other people in the space would be like right up at the top of my list. Like, I'm not really a health and fitness guy. Like, I'm a philosopher. I'm a prof. I'm a intellectual 30,000 feet above the air looking at all the concepts kind of guy. I can't believe the amount of hate people get when they say do this exercise or do that exercise. And people are like, why would you ever do that exercise? Don't do it. Never do it. Like, it's shocking. It's shocking to me. But that would be like number one red flag is, do you crap on the way other people try to get healthy? Do you see it similarly?
It's just a shame. I see a lot of great people. I see a lot of people with a lot of potential, and that have an audience who really squander it in just trying to score points. It's a shame. I see it as a shame. I see it as just unfortunate. And then I see people out there like you. I mean, you call yourself a philosopher, but that's only a piece of it. I mean, you are at a high level of abstraction dealing with philosophy, but you're also, trail running, shoes on the ground, actually doing the thing. So it's at multiple layers. And that to me is real. That to me is evidence of commitment. That's why that's why I find myself drawn to you, and that we one of the reasons why we get along, because it really is, from up there to down into the earth. And it's not about proving who's right or who's wrong or who's the best or who's the strongest, feats of strength, or who's the fastest. It's just, we're doing the thing. We're doing the thing. We're doing the thing. Come along with us. Come
Yeah.
along and do the thing too. And that's really what it's all about. it's all about. And I know that's all about. I know that's what it's all about with you too. So appreciate that.
And with you, I appreciate that. There's a if anybody follows me out there on socials, there's a reason I post a picture of my feet in the sky every single morning. One of my feet on the ground, one of the stars up above. Like there's a reason. There's a reason for that, and everything in between. Okay, so this is really neat. This is now we're starting to get somewhere in terms of like, well, how do I spot the truth in people who are saying like follow me to become healthy in body, but then also like it's going to work out in other ways for you. And this I get from my coach Zach Hommel, who I think is also just like very much in orbit with all of this. He says like don't trust a coach who doesn't compete in terms of health and fitness. Like if your coach isn't out there doing something, putting their own body on the line, that they aren't subjecting their ego out there to something and not in a way in which I'm going to turn it into like a doc for my Instagram or anything. Like the whole reason of competing is to produce something, but to actually like learn something and to subject myself to that like feet on the ground real feedback. I feel like that's a very good, maybe it doesn't have to be like 100% rule, but I feel like that's not a bad litmus to want to know, hey, you're telling me I can do this to become better. Like, what are you doing? Are you doing the same thing? Are you subjecting yourself to the same prescription that you're prescribing me? And I think in the anything related to physical fitness, that kind of almost does tilt us to have to get into the arena at one point or in one way or something. I don't know. Do you see it similarly?
When it comes to that, I see my view of that is that everybody has their own journey and everybody has their own challenges. And what challenges are public and what challenges are private uh, are a decision made by each individual. And, personally, I kind of agree with you. I love to get out there a couple times a year and run a race and do challenges with my WhatsApp group or with my kids. And to me, it's a lot of fun. But I don't necessarily think in and I think that's true for a lot of people, and certainly true with you, and certainly true for your coach. But I don't see that as a mandatory. I don't see that as a mandatory because I think that people are different and everybody has their own situation. And some people can be incredibly inspiring who already did something, but they don't do it anymore. Um, so I think each case is, I think you have to be a little bit careful about that in overgeneralizing and making it sort of like, well, this is the way I do it, so this is the way everybody else has to do it. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
get
yeah.
really I've seen other people attack things in a very different way than me and be incredibly successful. And so it's a humbling thing. It's like, okay, I'm not, this is not I'm not the center of the universe, this is not a Ptolemaic universe.
Oh yeah, no, of course not. And I hope I'm not suggesting that I have the one right way or
No, no,
any.
no. It's what,
No,
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 no, no,
no,
no.
no, no. It's completely fine with you. It's what resonates with you and the people that gravitate towards you. And this is really important. The people who gravitate towards you, that is those people are going to have a similar, it's just natural law. It's like gravity
Yeah.
exists, right? And the way that masses are drawn to each other. People who are of like minds are going to be drawn to you. And then there's going to be other people out there who are drawn to different people. And that's a good
Yes.
selection process that occurs. So, people who are going to be drawn to you are going to be people who want to get out there and put themselves on the line and compete as hard as they can. And that's a fantastic
Yeah.
component of our nature is
Yeah.
natural competitiveness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a big N equals one kind of guy. I'm a historian. I'm a historian. I was trained in the narrative, like, and I'm also like a very staunch individualist, and whatever generalities like may help us deal with just the onslaught of information that we have to deal with day in and day out, that never determines how I deal with any one individual in any one moment, because I have no bearing and I have no understanding of what that individual is going to bring in whatever context. And I have to allow that individual the same space that I hope everybody else would give to me in terms of like my particular context and my experiences and my history. So I completely agree. It's more about how do we spot and how do we sniff out the people that do it for ego in the health and wellness space? How do we sift those people out where we don't necessarily want to hand over our money only to figure out, man, they sold me a jar of empty pills and I didn't even get they just gave me a placebo, which I'm a big placebo guy actually. Um, this is how I wish there was a world in which I could just ask a doctor, how many times have you prescribed a placebo in the last year? And if the answer is more than zero, I like that doctor, because it's the same thing. Like the placebo effect is one of the most studied effects in all of medicine, but I don't see any doctor giving out sugar pills and saying this is going to do this or this is going to do that, using that almost like backdoor deception or the reverse psychology like that we talked about with Frankel a little bit, because there's no glory in saying, yeah, I used your mind to trick you into health. Like then they'd be like, well, why do I even need you, doctor, in the first place? If all you're going to do is give me a pill that doesn't do anything. But if they really cared about helping you and making you the healthiest they could with all available options, that doctor should have like a drawer full of sugar pills that he's just waiting to say, oh, this person, we've tried this, we've tried that. Let's see if this might work. Let's see if that, like as a particular strategy. So the reason I'm just mentioning competition or this idea of like prove your method on yourself, which may be the more general principle here when you're talking about, hey, who do I want to pick to guide me? I feel like that person's got to practice on themselves. So maybe when it comes to like fitness, it doesn't have to be a competition, but they got to be in the gym at least. You got to be in the gym. It's like, you're telling me to do this. You have to be a practitioner as well. And you have to do it in the way in which you're asking me to do it, not just this is going to work for you because I said so. That's the reason why I kind of wanted to draw that out. And that's in health and fitness, but I think that's for everything as well. You know, we're trying to talk our way from our side about what we see when we're guiding people. I just want to provide as much kind of lens from this angle, from this vantage part of me for people out there listening that like, don't get fooled. don't get fooled. And this is one of the metrics. And I think this is why the physical is such a powerful self-discovery mechanism. Just wonder if you agree that resonates, or what's sort of alive with you.
I think the practice what you preach is critical. And at the same time, to answer your earlier question, I think there's bad news. People are going to be fooled.
Yeah.
And people are going to buy into the latest fad and take the latest supplement. It's just, there's nothing we can do about it. That we're not going to save the whole world. You know, you get a referral or somebody comes to you and you have an opportunity to work with them and you do your best work and they blossom and become who they are. And you did great work in that one instance. And beyond that scope, for me anyway, beyond that scope, it gets very, very tricky when we get into larger. You know, I remember very early on in my education reading this policy book in the area of behavioral economics. And it was all about this idea of like, hey, we're going to use behavioral economics. We're going to use all of these tricks from behavioral economics to affect change in these large systems, municipal and national, statewide or national systems. That's total bullshit. Nobody's doing any good there with any type of intervention that they came up with in a clever manner from the behavioral economics literature. No matter how smart the study is, or the the uh, the theory is, that's just not. The systems are a mess. So for me, this is a very one-on-one work. Somebody comes to me, I get a referral, they make an appointment, a consultation. I talk to them, we talk on a Zoom, and I see who they are, and I think, okay, I'm getting who they are here. I'm getting who they are here. I think maybe I can help them out. I can move them towards the place where they're going to go, or they might want to go, or help them with self discovery thing. Within the larger system, I'm really sorry. I wish I had better news. I wish I, if it was 19-year-old Phil, I would be thinking about like changing the world at a time. Now I'm just thinking about changing the world, a person, helping one person at a time. That's all I got.
Yeah,
That's all I
yeah. I
got.
call it's like, I mean, I have a name for it, or at least the way that I frame it, because it's the same thing. As a professor, I was very interested in promoting and defending and standing up for freedom. And I was like, well, what is that? That's such a amorphous term. And all this was in the context of the free speech debates in the academy. And for all of the good hearts and for all of like the courage that I saw people like bring, I never saw any wins. I just saw loss after institutional loss after institutional loss after institutional loss. So I totally changed my political energy to bring about freedom from anything institutional or anything societal to what I call micro revolutions of the heart. Right? I'm interested in micro
Love that
revolutions
phrase. Beautiful.
of an individual heart so that that person can become more courageous in just being more authentically themselves, so that we just have more individuals who aren't going to get steamrolled by the next thing, whatever that thing is that comes from whatever side. I don't care. I'm not interested in making this about one side, another side, a fourth, third side, a fourth. Doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. To me, it's about individuals pursuing their greatest potential and not allowing other people to say you can't or shouldn't do that. And here's why. And I'm going to stop you from doing that. Like, that's the freedom that I care about, is like the freedom of the individual heart and of the courage, which is why, the physical is such a powerful way to get somebody to believe in themselves. When you are 20 pounds heavier than you are, you have more energy, you're lifting weights, you're running, you're doing all these things that were limited to you because you weren't taking care of your body. Now you are. Now you have this vibrancy. Now you have this dignity, right? Now you have this authority and self-leadership that you're not just going to give away to somebody because they scared you, because they put some image or they put some idea in your head about how you're supposed to act or how you should behave or how you should follow along with what everybody else is doing. And so to me, this is kind of like the exact right scale for something like this. And to me, it's like, you mentioned the word fun a bunch of times. To me, fun is a huge hallmark of the type of coaching that I want to do, is because I want to open up that heart. I want to know, like, what do you enjoy? What's your passion? Where do you find like curiosity? Where does your imagination go wild? Like, what is the adventure and the challenge that gets you excited to climb the mountain? Could be figuratively or literally, sometimes depending on who we're talking about. And so for me, this is the most important thing about what you're saying, is that it's all about the individual. It's all about connecting with one person and affecting that one person's life as deeply and meaningfully as possible. So this conversation gone all over the place, which I love. And I just appreciate you for bringing your full heart into this. But it seems like a lot of this is actually kind of geared towards the up and coming coach, the up and coming fitness coach, which actually a couple people I coach, like I coach them with that as well. I coach them in their fitness with this sort of like inner work through fitness, but then also like they have a passion and they want to teach somebody else. So maybe the way we close this out is like, what is your advice to somebody who is like, it's on my heart to help people get fit. It's on my heart to help people become, to help other people become more positive believers in themselves and in their potential. How would you advise somebody in that position to craft their own coaching business, or how should they reach out to people to help? How should they approach helping other people? Like what is some specific advice to somebody who's in that position right now? Because it seems like a good amount of this conversation is sort of geared maybe towards that person. So let's speak directly to them, and let's breathe life into their dream about themselves.
I think it comes back to a couple of the themes that we established during our conversation. One of them is, comes right from Rogers and right from sort of the humanistic view, and that is meet them where they are. Like, so when you meet somebody, they come to you and they need help training. Maybe they're out of shape, maybe they're obese, maybe whatever, and maybe they're not feeling great. You really want to understand where they're at, because all of us are vulnerable. All of us have fragilities. All of us are mortal. And so that is a common place that we can meet. We all have our fears, we all have our hopes, and it's a way that we can connect. To me, that is essential at the outset. Connecting with that person is incredibly important. That would be number one. Number two would be, and this goes back to something you said earlier about competing, being a role model, being a real role model, practicing what you preach and being that person. And by the way, all of these go for coaching and they all go for parenting as well. By the way, right? These are such similar endeavors. It's a comedy to me how similar they are. But the role model thing is legit. Like, you have to be that person. You have to be the person that you're saying that you are when you meet with them, and you have to know it at some level. I studied psychology way back in the day, and it was a good thing that I never practiced, because at that time I would not have been able to practice because I didn't know who I was and I wasn't taking care of myself, and I would have never been able to practice what I preach. I would have been faking it. I would have been, a charade, right? And so that thing, the power of the role model, that's two. One last thing. If you're really good, like, I see you building the community. It's one of the things I love about what you're doing. I see it. I see you guys go on these trips and you run 50-mile races, and it's insane. And it's this whole group of guys, and it's beautiful. You're great at that. It's undeniable. That itself is your marketing. If you be great at what you do, take it that seriously. Make sure you're great at it. Learn the things. Be the role model. If you're great at it, you will be very, very successful. It's undeniable that you will be successful. You'll be great because people will people will talk about you. People will want to talk about you. They'll be proud about it. That, to me, is also a very powerful thing. So I forgot what the three things were, but I just said three things.
Yeah, they're great. No, there's a triangle in there, and the fulcrums, they move around, so it's all good. No
There's it
problem.
exactly.
It's no problem. So it's basically like uh be you have to be gracious. You have to be gracious because you're
Meet them
helping
where they
somebody.
are. Meet
Meet
them
them
where
where
they
they are.
are.
Be
Yeah.
gracious, right? Be gracious. What was the second one there? Be a role model. Be
Role
honest.
model.
Be
Yeah.
honest. Be
Yeah.
honest. Like, be gracious, be honest, and be great, that
and be
that to
awesome.
me is,
Yeah.
yeah, be
Like
awesome.
take
It's
it
like,
really seriously. Put the
yeah,
work in,
care,
you know?
care.
Care. If you're listen, if you talk to somebody on a Tuesday afternoon and that night at 10 o'clock at night you're thinking about that person, and then the next morning you wake up and text them because you thought of something, you're doing it right. You're being awesome. Like you're invested and you're caring and you're working at it and you're giving yourself that opportunity to be great at what you do and to help whoever it is, whoever that person is, whoever that trainee is, uh,
Yeah,
cultivate for themselves and
yeah.
grow and open that door.
That's exactly right. One of the things I tell people, say in like a potential sales call or something like that, if they're wondering, like, well, why is the price point like that? I say, you're buying a piece of my subconscious. Like, that's what you're buying. You're buying a piece of my mind and my heart and my soul, so that literally I'm thinking about your problem all the time. I'm thinking about you. When I'm out running in the woods, you're going to pop into my mind. I'm going to start thinking about your issue. And I could think about that for the next 24 hours in a row, if that's what it needs to be. But like, when you become one of my clients, you're literally buying a piece of my heart, because that's where you go. You go into my heart because now I care. Like now we have a relationship and a rapport, and I need to be great for you. I need to, if another word that you threw out there is like trust, right? What is the thing the integrationists say that works in all the, it's trust. It's trust between the parties. I mean, that's how learning, there's no learning, there's no education, there's no anything without trust anyways. Um, and so, like, that's what you're buying. You're buying this ability of me to open up, and I have only a limited amount of love I can pour out, but it does grow. It does grow. But that's like, you're like, well, what's the price for? Is it for the hours on the calls? Is it for this? I'm like, no, it's so I care about you. And that when you get on the call with me, you're going to feel that I care about you. And I'm famous for scheduling 1 hour calls that go 2 hours. And not because like I just keep the person on to harangue them. It's the fact that the one conversation opens up another and opens up another. And I'm not just about to cut off in the middle because it's like, oh, I gotta go. It's like, no, our hearts are open and they're tied together, and there's a real possibility that the problem that is eating you up alive, we can make gigantic progress on right now. But I gotta be present and I gotta care and I gotta throw myself fully in with you, right? Like that's to me, that's how I operate. I couldn't imagine operating in any other way, shape,
You
or
couldn't do it
form.
any other way. You couldn't
I
do it
wouldn't be
any
able.
other way. I know you by now. You couldn't do it any other way. It's beautiful.
I'd be a fraud. I'd be a fraud. I am
It's the
that.
real thing.
You want a stereotype? I'm the weird professor. I have the weird back corner office with all the books falling over on top of them, and then you come in like you're scared. You like, I want to ask this weird guy about my essay question, and then you come on in, and then I'm like, yeah, sure, here's your essay. But then 45 minutes later, I've taken you, we've gone together on some weird roller coaster where I've talked, I've asked you all these crazy questions about life, and you walk out and you're like, what the heck just happened? And then 5 years later, when you're graduating, it's like, oh, that conversation with that weird guy, I'll remember that conversation for the rest of my, like, that is me. So I can only be me. So maybe the biggest, and you can only be you. And it's so obvious, listening to the way you speak and how passionate you are about the work that you do and the people you help, like that. It's the exact same thing. So if you're out there and you want to help people and you want to serve, you have to like become so passionate about helping somebody that you become obsessed with it. You become obsessed with helping people, and that's really it. And you gave three things. I'm gonna give two. This is the game that I give to people that I coach sometimes in sort of like the online space. Like, what do you need to do to become a good online coach? One, don't quit, because it's really hard. So just don't quit. And number two, help people. That's it. If you do those two things, you're gonna get it, right? And I think those two things encompass the three things you're talking about. But ultimately, it's like that. It's like you got to care. You really got to care.
Beautiful, dude. give it all, give it everything. Comes through. It comes through in your spirit all the time, and it speaks to what you just said. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let's land this guy up here because I think you and I would bat around for a while here, which is great. Is there a good lacrosse term for that? For like bat around? Is there a good lacrosse term? Throw
Ground
around,
ball.
ground ball. Okay, there you go. All right, good one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's end this on fun. Let's end this on fun and fitness and caring, right? Like, if we want to inspire people to take charge of their physical fitness, if we want to activate their spirits, if we want to open their eyes and their hearts to greater potential beyond what they've currently seen now of themselves, how important is fun? How important is fun in this entire equation when it comes to fitness, in your estimation?
I would say it's huge. I mean, you got to find things that you like to do if you're going to do them. And so and it is a fundamental component of our nature to want to have a little fun, you know? And fun is criminally underrated in our life. Especially, you're Canadian, but it's especially as Americans.
Thank you.
Everybody's trying to like growth hack and, get ahead. And meanwhile, they're just like, nobody's having fun. It's like, go have some fun. It's like, you know what? After this conversation, I'm going to go play with my dog out back for like 15, 20 minutes. And who's having more fun? I'm having fun and Daisy's having fun. And it's like, it's just a beautiful little moment of life. We're only here for so long. Might as well have a little fun. So, criminally underrated. And by the way, the weekend's coming. And if you haven't had any fun, you don't have to have a yacht or you don't have to go fly to the Caribbean. You could just go find a trail, or you could just go find a dog in a park and a ball, or you could just, take your wife to the river and walk there. Anything. There's a million things that you can do. And just go, make it a point, make it a high priority. Put it at the top of your priority stack to just have a little fun this weekend. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Work is the distraction. Play is serious. Go have fun. Go have real fun. That is the doctor's orders. Dr. Pearl himself. Man, this was so much fun. I really appreciate your time, your energy, your enthusiasm, your pushback, your sharpness, just everything about you I appreciate. So thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to put Dr. Pearlman's information down into the show notes. If anybody who's listening is like, I need that guy in my life, which probably is everybody, because who doesn't want a guy like this in their corner, or at least to be getting inspired from? You can follow him on socials. He writes a pretty good Substack every now and then. But I'll put all that down there. And same thing with me. If you're, we spend a lot of time here talking shop about like what we do, how we approach it, why we do it, why we think it works, what we don't like about other people in the space. So if you're somebody who's looking to get fit, if you're someone who's looking to break free of limitations of the mind so you can go after, the dreams and the potential that, are down deep there, they're down, and you just need somebody to cultivate the soil and allow yourself to grow. Certainly Dr. Pearl or myself, all of our notes, our information are going to be in the notes. Get in contact to us. We're happy just to have conversations and just to point you in the right direction. So certainly do that if you feel at all inclined. And I'll just add any final closing words from you, and then we'll wrap this guy up. And I will not keep you from the important business of going and playing with your beautiful pupper.
I would just say, life is short. Have a little fun. Just to follow up on that last point. Do your thing.
Do your thing. Go
Yeah.
for it. I'm going to figure out if I can bike outside or if I shouldn't bike outside, depending on if snow has melted or if snow has not melted on the bike pass. That's a little fun game I'm playing with myself these
You've been
days.
biking. You've been doing a good bit of biking, haven't you?
Yes, sir. I got a triathlon I got to compete in
Wow.
May.
Wow.
And we're doing the big boy in November. We're doing the Ironman down in Florida. So we got half Ironman at the end of May and full Ironman down in November in Florida. Both of those are with Tribal. We got over 20 guys doing the Chattanooga race.
Wow. That's
Um,
fantastic.
so I've coached. I've done mindset performance coaching and on course coaching, but I've never done a triathlon myself. So this will be my first ever triathlon, and I have a unique approach to training, um, an unorthodox style, if you will, and I am experimenting to see if that style can be applied appropriately in this new sporting context, and we're going to use the half Ironman as sort of like the laboratory to see whether I can continue along this path or whether I need to go into something a little bit more traditional in terms of building up to take down the full Ironman. So that's just a little bit of the fun of my own training process right now. And I have an indoor trainer, but I don't set it up and I ride it outside exclusively because living in Chicago, it's cold, but there's generally no snow anywhere. And I don't mind a little snow. Or I mean, I don't mind a little cold. So it's, this is part of the fun of training is like, it's a puzzle, it's a game. You fit the pieces in based on your schedule and your obligations. Like I also want to take my kids to the public library today. They have this really awesome sort of like digital laboratory where the kids can do like 3D printing or they can do like laser cutting. And my kids love that. So I promised them I'd take them over there for an hour after school. So it's like fitting in the calls, doing the
Nice.
coaching,
Yeah.
fitting in the training, fitting in like being the dad who's not just picking him up and putting him in front of a screen so that he can go and do the important things that he's got to do. It's like, no, 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 no. The most important thing I have to do actually today is go to the library with my kids and fulfill that promise for them. That's the most important thing I have to do, followed by obligation here, followed by training. Already been serving my people, and that's how we do it. Little look into my process of what I find fun. The
Full
challenge
day
is
right
fun.
there, baby.
The challenge is fun, fitting it in, like getting all the things that I desire and demand that other people might think are of as not important. But to what I say, that's my value. It's not your value. And my life is difficult, but it's so meaningful. And it's difficult because I'm choosing all of the different things that I want to challenge me. And I appreciate that struggle. It's like putting the weight on the bar. It's like your fast intervals. Like you don't like them. You don't maybe like thinking about doing them. You don't necessarily
I
like them
like
in
the
the
first
moment.
one,
You like the first interval, but not the, yeah, yeah, yeah. You
but
don't
not
like
the
that. Oh, I
last.
like
I
it.
hate the last one.
Really? Like, this would be interesting. Okay. We're just tangenting this whole thing. I was supposed to close this off, but we're not. What do you like? Okay. Psychologically, if I'm on a run, to me, the hardest part of the run is 40 to 50%. 40 to 50% to me is psychologically, that's the hardest point because I'm already in the struggle. I've done a lot of work, but I haven't even gotten over halfway yet. Once I get over halfway, the mind can at least see that I'm going downhill and yeah, maybe I'm grinding between 80 and 100 or between 90, like I'm really fighting, but I find psychologically, at least for me, it's like that 40 to 50% window. Man, that's when I really have to battle. So I guess if we're doing like 5 intervals, that's like interval 2. Interval 2 would be like the psychologically, 2 and 3 would be like the hardest ones. I don't know. You have a thought on
I've
that?
been doing that. I've been doing that. I forget what they call it, like the Nordic intervals, 4x4s, where you do 4 minutes and 4 minutes.
Yep.
And for me, like the third minute of the last one
Okay.
that's my hell right there. That's my hell. Is that because I'm really tired, and I'm like I'm struggling, and I'm like I just have to do this, man. I got to get through it. I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna make it. And then like the fourth minute is terrible too, but like that last 20 seconds is not that last half minute
Oh,
is
yeah.
not so bad because I'm like, I'm done. I can do this. But
Finish line.
that fourth one, yeah, the finish line, but that fourth one, because I'm tired and I'm like, I just kicked my ass already. And I'm like, oh man, am I even going to make it? That to me, that's the hell. But the rest of it is very enjoyable. And then afterwards is fantastic.
I love the way you get to observe the mind inside of physical activity. It's so awesome to see the different ways in which like you'll go negative or you'll go positive or where you seem to like lose your steam consistently and where you seem to really like grab hold of momentum and fight through the adversity. You know, it's so funny. You know, I would run a half marathon for my long runs on the trails every Sunday, and no matter like how fast I was going, whatever the trail conditions, mile 10 is always like this amazing celebration. It's like, yes, mile 10, only 3 miles left, and then the next minute it's, oh my gosh, there's 3 whole miles left. And then it's the same for every final mile where it's like, oh, okay, fine. Now I only got 2 miles left. And then 1 minute passes. Oh my gosh, there's 2 more miles left. You notice this every single time. And I don't really have a point other than like how cool that we can see this and maybe that's a little bit of a window into why we really think physical activity is this powerful self-discovery mechanism. It's because you see yourself doing this all the time and it never seems to change no matter what.
It's choosing the struggle,
Yeah.
which is just a beautiful thing. You know, I mean, life is difficult and life is a struggle. And there are a lot of people out there who avoid the struggles to their own detriment. And this is like a symbolic act where we are choosing the struggle. And it really is a great preparation for the rest of life.
Can't say it any better for that. And when you're choosing the struggle, man, it's fun to be in the battle. I'll say that as well. Like it's fun. Like when you're talking about like these battles of maybe like relationships or like self-identity, there's not a lot of like triumph that's going on in there, right? There's not like there isn't this like concrete moment where I see myself just rising over it and pushing through. But in the body, like there's all of these temptations. There's all this inertia to quit or to not give your best. And if you can just like push through that, the body rewards you in like in seemingly infinite ways. Like you get the hormone release, so you get that runner's high. Like you get the endorphins, you get the endocannabinoids, you get all these incredible things that your body floods you. But then you get all these incredible like mental unlocks, and you get these spiritual breakthroughs, and it really is that idea of choosing the right struggle, right? And if it's fun, if you're caring about it, if there's passion, and if there's real work and real adversity, there's no telling the impact it can have on your life when you put all those ingredients together. So when Dr. Pearl says make it fun, like he's serious. He's real serious.
Dude, I feel
Gotta be
so good after talking to you. I feel so good after talking to you, bro. Like I'm just like I'm set for the day, bro. Like this was just
You're a hero.
wonderful. Like I'm filled up with all the goods. I got all the good feels now.
I appreciate you so much, bro. We're gonna stop that now. Thanks so much. This was episode 75. Oh my gosh, we're gonna go to episode
Wow.
76. If you could just hold on the line after I stop this guy, my friend, that would be fantastic. I will see all of you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. Reach out if you desire for either one of us. We are open, ready, and totally willing. Peace and love. We'll see you in the next.